I can see like this much of you.
That doesn't matter.
I mean, I didn't say you had to get out of the frame anymore, so you could just sit right there. Can't have her. Ow!
No,
Gosh,
fatty.
fatty.
Jesus! Our Father! Oh my God!
Somebody killed somebody's vibe!
Is that the chocolate one?
No.
Good, because I hate that one. And
Wow.
I'm not allowed to eat it because I hate it.
Wait. I'm feeling crumbs.
She's feeling crumbs.
I said spilling, you said feeling.
Oh.
Who feels crumbs?
I don't know. I thought you said crunch, but that doesn't make any
No, it doesn't.
sense.
Well, you're fired.
For my job. But I have 7 kids
Oh my
to
God.
take care of.
What's up, guys? It's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, I'm Ashley. Welcome to my channel featuring my snowflake cousin. Say hi. Say hi.
I'm a snowflake.
And welcome to another Sanctified Sunday video. I believe this is episode 2, which is awesome. I know I'm supposed to have this video out by last week, but excuses. At least I have it today and I wanted to film it Easter Sunday, so happy Easter! So happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Or happy Resurrection Sunday, whichever you choose to call it. I call it both because, yep, I don't think there's anything else for me to say, so let's just get straight into the video. I'm not going to do this anymore. Every YouTuber does that. Let's just get into the video. Okay, so the title of this video today I want to discuss is titled, Whose Side Are You On? And I chose to title it that because I feel like it relates a lot to society and Christians in society. I don't know, it's a very deep question. I mean, it's a sensitive topic to discuss, but I feel like it needs to be discussed. So, whose side are you on? If you take a minute to think about it, it says a lot on whose side you actually you're on. Are you on God's side or are you on the world side? Because we can't have both. And the Bible talks about that too. The Bible verse 1 John 2 verses 15 to 17. It says, do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and pride in possessions, is not from the Father, but it is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. As Christians in America, we need to learn that we are set apart from this world. It is okay to live in the world, and it is okay to go shopping, and it's okay to do this and that, and there's certain things we can't do, and that is kind of where it gets confusing for a lot of Christians, where we feel like, well, I can go to a party and I can drink alcohol, but I can't get drunk. So it's like, well, what do I do in between? And that's where we have to realize that we are set apart. We are not like people in this world at all. We are very different. There's going to be things we are restricted from, and there's going to be things that we do that they don't do, but it's all for the favor of God, and it's all for God. And I wish people would understand that, and I wish I would understand that too.
Amen.
Thank you, V. And that is where it ties in to the message, whose side are you on? Because we can't have the world and have God. You can take components of the world, but you cannot be split in half, where you are the world and you are God. It's literally not possible. You have to choose his side if you choose the world side. Now, we can live in the world, like we can drive cars and go to work, and we can put makeup on or like jewelry. You can't allow them to control us. It can't be something we are in love with if it goes above God. If we start to care too much about our appearance instead of God, then we're doing something wrong, if you get what I'm saying. If you notice that you rather watch football than go to church, then you need to figure out where you stand and whose side you're on. It's small stuff like that we don't even notice, but that is what's really messing us up. I realize this message is going everywhere, but there's just so much to say. It's like, wow. Yeah, and I realize what I'm saying ties into what I said in my faith video, where I talked about what I keep myself away from, what I do, what I don't do, stuff like that. And that's really all a part of being a Christian. We're not going to do everything that other people do, and that's what makes it hard. But there's this thing my pastor said yesterday. He said, would you rather suffer now but go to paradise afterwards, or would you rather have everything now but then suffer later on? And he chose the first answer, which is suffer now but go to paradise later. And it makes a lot of sense, because would you rather enjoy everything in the world now and forget who God is and just do whatever in the world you want, but then you suffer in the end, which is never going to end, mind you, eternal suffering? Or would you rather just suffer temporarily? And sometimes it's not even suffering, but would you rather suffer temporarily and then enjoy paradise forever, eternal paradise? If you really think about it, I mean, it's not a hard decision, but I guess it's an opinionated thing if you want it to be. And that's why it also ties into whose side are you on, because either side you choose, it's going to be hard. One is just going to have a better outcome than the other. If you choose the side of the world instead of God, you may enjoy it now, but you won't enjoy it later. But if you choose the side of God, you may not enjoy everything now, but you will enjoy it later. And the wonderful thing is that when you do choose the side of God, it's not just suffering. There are like a billion, cajillion wonderful moments of being on God's side that people don't want to mention. People like to view Christianity and say, well, they can't do this, they can't do that, and the Christian church is full of hypocrites and liars and abusers, blah, 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 blah. But if you only hear the negatives from a person and they don't say the positives, all you're going to know are the negatives. You won't really know the side of God until you're there. And I can see that not everything in the world is great, but we like to grab onto the great moments and pretend we don't see the bad moments, and just take that and say, oh, well, the world is fine, I may not go to heaven, blah, 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 but at least this is good. But with Christianity, there's good and there's bad. And both benefit you, which is just an amazing thing. When you choose the side of God, you're both benefited either way. Joining on God's side is very confusing, because it's like, to people, you seem like you're suffering, like everything's going wrong, when really you're in this trial or tribulation right now, but God's going to take you out of it. And the reason why He put you there is because it's a better outcome. I don't know why I'm over here trying to tell you which side to pick, when the question's really whose side are you on. So let me get back on track now, because I was out of it. Back to the actual message, because I could ramble for a very long time. In favor of it being Resurrection Sunday, I really wanted to discuss the story of Jesus' crucifixion, because that's what we talk about on these days. And it's like, it's my favorite story out of the entire Bible. It makes me cry, but it's so nice that, like, I don't mind talking about it. There's several books in the Bible that talks about Jesus' crucifixion. There's Matthew 28, John 18 to like 19, but my mom was telling me to check out Luke, because she says Luke goes really, really in depth. I mean, I think John goes really in depth too, but she says Luke really does, so like, I'm gonna check it out because I haven't read it. And I mean, I really like it, so I'm really just gonna focus on the entire book of Luke chapter 22. We're just gonna keep ourselves right there. Luke 22 first begins telling the story of when Judas betrayed Jesus. It says, the festival of unleavened bread, which is also called Passover, was approaching. The leading priests and teachers of religious law were plotting how to kill Jesus, but they were afraid of the people's reaction. Then Satan entered into Judas Iscariot, who was one of the 12 disciples, and he went to the leading priests and captains of the temple guard to discuss the best way to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted, and they promised to give him money. So he agreed and began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus so they could arrest him when the crowds weren't around. Wow, you were my follower for this long, and then you go and just betray me. This is very similar to now, I would say, because a lot of Christians, we are supposed to be the disciples of God. That's already known. We are Christ followers, yada yada yada. You should know by now. And we all betray God pretty much every single day. So it's crazy reading this, because we can act like we're really surprised, like, wow, I can't believe he did that. But then we act the exact same way. And I feel like that was a question for a lot of the disciples in that chapter. Whose side are you on? Because it was as if they were on Jesus' side, but the second a better offer came along, it was like, oh, I don't know that dude, never mind, it's fine. And then the story continues where they discuss the Last Supper. There's a specific verse I wanted to grab from that, well, several verses, which is 14, 15, 16, which says, when the time came, Jesus and the apostles sat down together at the table. Jesus said, I have been very eager to eat this Passover meal with you before my suffering begins. For I tell you now that I won't eat this meal again until it's until its meaning is fulfilled in the kingdom of God. It discusses how Jesus sat down with his disciples and he just told them basically, I'm really glad to be here with you guys because after this you're not going to see me anymore. And I mean, it just shows that he was very focused on his mission. You can obviously see what Jesus chose. You can see that Jesus did not choose the world, but he chose God. He followed the exact mission that God had him to go in. And he was fully prepared for it. There was no hesitation in what he said. And he didn't say, guys, I don't want to leave, like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. He was just like, alright guys, this is our last meal together, we're going to eat, and then I have to leave you guys, I have a job to do. And that's how a lot of us should approach our missions from God. Why did I quote it? That's how a lot of us should approach our missions from God. We shouldn't question it or hesitate, but we should just do it, because as long as it's coming from God, there's no way it's going to limit us. It's only going to benefit us. Yeah. Next verse is 21 to 23. I should be plural. Next verses are 21 to 23, which says, But here at this table, sitting among us as a friend, is the man who will betray me. For it has been determined that the Son of Man must die, but what sorrow awaits the one who betrays him. The disciples began to ask each other who of them would ever do such a thing. Then they began to argue amongst themselves about who would be the greatest among them. I made a mistake. I'm going to say 21 to 24. But in this verse, or verses, Jesus talks about how someone will betray him before he dies, but he already knew ahead of time. We already know that Judas betrayed him, and Jesus is already telling them that more people are going to betray him. And I keep bringing this back to today with how he already knows what we're going to do. Although we have free will, he knows who's going to do what. It's your choice to go through with it. And you can change your free will whenever you want. It's up to you to leave God and go in this direction, or you can stay with God and follow his direction. Either way, Jesus knows what you're going to do, and he's not going to stop you because you use your free will. He may know you're going to do it, but whatever you choose to do is your choice at the end of the day. He's not telling you to go that way or go that way. You yourself have to know which way to go. You cannot let the world distract you or temptations distract you from where you need to go. And my pastor discussed this too about our mission yesterday, about how we're all given a mission. We all have different missions, but they all lead to the same direction to God. That, when he said that, I was like, wow. And then he repeated himself too, so I was like, wow, man. So basically, we all have this free will. We all have our own missions of how we want to serve, of how we're going to serve God and how we're going to get there. Each mission is different, so you cannot copy off of him or her and assume that you're all going to follow God. You all have different gifts, you have different missions. How you choose to follow Jesus really does matter. He's going to lead you to him. Do not think that because you're going left and that person is going right, that one of you is going the wrong way. God just has you going in different directions, but it will all lead to him in the end. That is why you need to choose a side, man. Okay, you can't be the earth and God, because if you're with God, he's going to keep you this way, but the earth is going to push you like that. Well, the world's going to push you like this, and you're going to have to figure out how to get back over here, because there's going to be so much over there that you're going to forget that you were supposed to go that way. We're already doing that now, and we shouldn't be. Then this chapter goes on to another section, which is Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Jesus is able to know when his disciples and how his disciples are going to deceive him, and that is the saddest thing in the world, because it's like, you were my friend, you were my friend, you were my right hand man, but then you go and betray me, and it's sad because we already do that. But this is verse 33 to verse 34, which says, Peter said, Lord, I am ready to go to prison with you and even die with you. But Jesus said, Peter, let me tell you something. Before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will deny me 3 times that you even know me. Jesus predicted right, and Peter did it, which I will get into. The chapter goes on to the section that says Jesus prays on the Mount of Olives, which I think I skipped over because I really wanted to focus on more of whose side are you on. Next section goes into Jesus is betrayed and arrested. So Judas gives Jesus a betrayal kiss. And Jesus is obviously aware of that. It's over here, verse 47. But even as Jesus said this, a crowd approached, led by Judas, one of the 12 disciples. Judas walked over to Jesus to greet him with a kiss. But Jesus said, Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss? And his disciples were aware of what was going on, and they tried to fight and everything, but Jesus didn't stand for that. He's too good of a man to stand for that. But to show you right there that even when he was being deceived and when he was being lied to by his disciples, he still followed his mission. Why? Because he chose a side. As messed up as it was that Jesus' disciples, some of his disciples betrayed him like that, and he knew they were going to, it didn't distract him from where he was supposed to go. It didn't mess him up or make him question his side. Our job as Christians is to be Christ-like. We're supposed to be like Jesus. If Jesus followed one way, we need to follow one way. If Jesus chose, no, I'm doing a video. If Jesus chose God instead of the world, we need to choose God instead of the world. Our job is to be Christ-like, to be like God, to be like Jesus. Yeah. Then the chapter goes on to a section titled, Peter Denies Jesus. Verse 54. So they arrested him and led him to the high priest's home, and Peter followed at a distance. The guards lit a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat around it, and Peter joined them there. A servant girl noticed him in the firelight and began staring at him. Finally she said, "This man was one of Jesus' followers." But Peter denied it. "Woman," he said, "I do not even know him." After a while, someone else looked at him and said, "You must be one of them." "No, man, I'm not," Peter retorted. About an hour later, someone else insisted this must be one of them because he is a Galilean too. But Peter said, "Man, I don't know what you are talking about." And immediately while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. At that moment, the Lord turned and looked at Peter. Suddenly, the Lord's words flashed through Peter's mind. "Before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will deny me 3 times that you even know me." And Peter left the courtyard, weeping bitterly. Although he felt remorse after what he did, it still happened, and he still allowed it to happen. Jesus knew Peter was going to betray him. Peter could have changed that, but he didn't. He still followed it, and he still denied Christ. Although God knows the entire time, he allows you to choose. The world nowadays doesn't necessarily allow you to choose. Society is more like, this is what we believe, and if you don't believe it, you're probably going to get bashed for it. That's basically, right? Exactly. In summary, from everything that I have read, the reason why I read this specific chapter is because it discusses Jesus' disciples. The people that were the most close to him, the people that were like this with him, still left him and still chose a different side. They chose to listen to the world and the world's opinion instead of God's opinion. Wow, I'm getting oily. And the reason why I chose this is because it works with Resurrection Sunday, it works with Easter, but also it just works with society now. That we really need to open our eyes and decide what side we're on. Are we on God's side or are we on the earth side? Because we can't have both. I know sometimes that stinks because it's like you want to do what everybody else is doing, but you can't. We are not the same people. Someone who is not a Christian and someone who is a Christian, we're not always going to have things in common, and that's completely fine. Because would you rather have a bit of trouble now but live in paradise forever, or live in a temporary paradise but then be in trouble forever? It's one or the other. You can't have both. And you will finally realize that that's not such a bad thing if you are set apart from the world. You have to stop looking at it like, I'm too different, they won't accept me. It doesn't matter because you always know that there's one being who always accepts you through everything, and that is God. Regardless of what you've done in the past, as long as you've asked for forgiveness, you've repented, and you truly believe.
Amen.
Thanks, you snowflake. There's a difference between man and God. God will forgive you for no matter what in the world it is that you did, but man will never forget. So you can't assume that the world is better than God. It's just, you can't do it, okay? Unless you are like a really strong non-believer who just truly thinks God's not real or doesn't care, I probably can't change your mind. But in summary, I'm just trying to say, whose side are you truly on? Because the same way the disciples can betray God, don't think that because you were like this with God that you won't drift. We all drift, but we just need to know when we're drifting to come back. We're all gonna drift from God. It happens. Don't feel guilty or feel like you're not good enough to be on God's side, because you most definitely are. It doesn't matter what your past is, what you've done in the past, what you did yesterday. If you are honest, you repent, you forgive yourself, He will most definitely forgive you, but you have to forgive yourself for it. Fist bump and then explode. Thank you. With that being said, whose side are you on? At the end of the day, it is your decision, not mine. I just hope you choose wisely. Thank you guys for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you some way. I hope you have an amazing Easter/Resurrection Sunday. Go out with your family, eat food, praise God, take nice pictures, dress cute, whatever in the world you want to do. Just celebrate this day and remember its true meaning. And I will catch you guys in my next video, which I don't want to say what it is. You just wait, it's coming. I'm just very excited for it. But I'll see you guys later. Peace, love, and unity. Bye, my friends. Say bye, Snowflake. Bye. Do it.
I'm gonna pass my record.
Do it.
There's no pause on this game.
Do it.
No.
Put your hands.
Snowflake must.
I'll pay you. I'll cut your song.
Oh, I lost already.
To the right side. A little higher. And we're gonna swoop it and say what's up. You ready?